Hello, I'm Jordan. I'm going to make a little video today talking about something that's kind of been on my mind for the last week or so. Recently, Barb and Isabella over at the Font made a video about fiction, specifically kind of a response to the idea that, or the attitude that fiction is frivolous and pointless and a waste of time. And as with all of their videos, you should certainly go check it out. It's wonderful. And one of the things that Barb brought up was the more or less established, demonstrated fact that people who read fiction tend to be better empathizers. And I think we can all testify to that being true. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that, while yes, that's certainly true in my case, I think it's a secondary benefit to reading fiction for me. It's not at all the reason I read fiction. The reason I read fiction is because it's fun. Pure and simple. That's really basically all there is to it. It's to the point where I tend to avoid fiction that deals with contemporary issues. And with some exceptions, I tend to avoid realistic fiction generally. In fact, whenever I read fiction, regardless of the genre, I tend to think of it as fantasy. This is The King of Elfland's Daughter by Lord Dunsany. And I'm going to hold it up as a prop because this is frivolous, pointless fantasy, but it's also, I think, unbelievably gorgeous and rewarding, and most importantly, fun. Now, I don't want to say that fiction that's more socially conscious than something like this is at all inferior to something like this. In fact, as I understand it, the rise of the novel in the 19th century was due in large part to the fact that fiction is such an effective tool of social commentary. But to reduce a book like this to something as blunt as a tool seems to me to be kind of a shame, because what this is, I think, is an exercise of the imagination, which is less trite than it sounds, I think, because what I'm talking about is kind of a network of ideas and concepts and situations and stories and emotions that everything I read contributes to, and that I'm always kind of carrying around. It's a thing I carry around, and I feel like it must affect my day-to-day life in a way that I'm not even always fully conscious of. And because I'm always changing, and because reading is not a passive activity, right? You do half the work as the reader. Because of those things, a book like this is not a static thing with a point or a function. It's a process that you, as the reader, take part in. And the idea of inserting politics or even contemporary realities into that process doesn't appeal to me at all. Now, the problem with that view, obviously, is that it's selfish. It's entirely self-serving. And I admit that that does get to me sometimes, because I do think we have a responsibility to engage with the world and to contribute to some extent or another. And I think that we should have things in our life that reflect that responsibility. It's just that for me, reading is not one of those things. And I'm not entirely comfortable with that being the case, but that is the case. It's not one of those things. So I guess I kind of want to open it up and ask you guys, what place does fiction hold in your life? Do you use it to instruct yourself, to expand your horizons? Do you use it purely for entertainment? Or have you found a good balance between all of those things? And also, what role does nonfiction play in this? Because I have recently discovered that I really enjoy nonfiction. I've been reading more and more of it lately. I read mostly history, but even in that case, I've discovered that I have almost no interest in anything after, like, World War I. So even in that case, I don't like contemporary realities to contaminate my reading life. So anyways, those are my thoughts on that. Please let me know what you guys think, and thanks for watching. Have a good day.